normal, once you just call this function called what? Open file, it will open it in a read mode, so without even passing it. So there is encoding that you always pass the encoding because each system has a default encoding. So some system encoding may be different. They won't be in what, in UTF-8. So you need to specify the what, the encoding. So like also, let's say the encoding, we'll put it in UTF-8. So that's for the Unicode. So depends on what you want to do with the file. So if it's just reading, you want to just read from the file, you don't want to write to it, you just name it here, the read mode. So and most especially, you can just do this and it will still work. Same thing, it will still work for you without the read uh, the mode, the reading mode. So by default is on read. So and the encoding you have to always specify. So since our own we are reading it in text form, so we want it in Unicode, so we always read it this way. Then what else that I want to say? Okay, I think this is how to open file, basically. So this particular first line telling us that okay, you have to know how to open a file. This is how we open file in what, in Python. So you just call this format, this open. Open is a built-in function. So already comes in with Python. So you have it at your disposal. Once you playing with Python, it's already there for you to make use of. So the next thing now we'll look at is how to write to a file also. So once you open a file like this, you need to return an object for you to keep. So we can say, okay, our file now, we'll say my file, let me say my file is equals to this. So now after doing this, if this execute, this open execute, it will return a file object for you. So we can save the file object here. Once we have all of the file objects, we can then call some functions on this file object. It has a tons of functions, but the ones that we'll be looking at the read function and also what, the write function. So like the mode also, you can also let's look at this reading first. So if we have this, let me escape from this so that I'll do it in an interactive mode. So let me call Python 3. So we are in the interactive mode. If I call my file, and I pass open, just notice what will happen. I don't have this, my file or my directory. The other time when I did the ls, xt, say encoding. Make it UTF-8. Close it. So once I do this, let me get in. Let's see. Import.
Never change.
Paste most recent colors. Standard. Sorry. This. This is
Yeah.
So this is it. Let me try and run it from here. Say after opening this, we want to print out a line from the file. Just change modes.
No, no. Let's be fair.
Execute as 777.
But when they see bustable performance instance, is it for the storage? And see when they see bustable performance instance, is it for storage or for EC2 instance? No, this thing, databases have instances, and EC2 has instances. So which, let's move on, let's move on. And now maybe the network. That thing is not provide.
Sorry.
Let's
Let's see.
move on.
Entry file open. So you can see the error. So that's what I wanted to show you. File not found error. So those such file or directory find in this particular word text. So you can see the reading. Once we open, we're trying to what? To read the file. So that's why I'm getting that error.
There's no busted performance instance in EC2 instance. Database instance that has busted
So
performance.
let's say
EC2 does not have busted, but have you seen busted?
let's create the file.
And that busted performance.
Touch.
Can't you see it? I said that busted performance instance. Does EC2 have busted performance instance?
Run it again.
I think it's database that have busted performance instance.
File.
And that's C now, that's C. busted her hair. That's what I'm
So
saying.
you can
So
see
why did people
it
keep
run this time
No,
around.
no, it's not about the election. It's about the
So when you are doing reading, what happens once you are on the read mode? You try to open a file that does not exist in that particular directory. That's what I want you to see. It won't even open. So that's what happened to us. That's why it was throwing that error that okay, file does not exist. So you will see other situation that even though the file does not exist, it goes out towards to create that file for you automatically. So and you'll be seeing it in what in write. So once you are doing writing, if you try to write something to a particular file that does not exist, your Python will go ahead and what and create that file for you automatically. So that's it for the reading. You can see our text doesn't have anything in it. If we try to what cut this particular my file.txt, you can see that it's empty. So if we try to write, let's say something like hello world in it, say echo, sorry. Let me say echo. Give it this echo hello world. Let me pass it to the file. On my file txt. Let me do this. So we're going to have this hello world in that particular in that file. So piping it, I was just piping it towards this file instead of printing it out in a standard output. I push it to the file, so it's going to be written there. So if we try our file this time around to read it again, see what we'll get. We'll get what hello world, and you can observe that it always would send next line. So anytime you use this read function, what it does is after reading, it appends what next line, this character that you always see, it always appends it to it. So you have to what remove that that will require us not to see this next line. So that's for reading. You can see that we're reading this. So we can still look at some things in reading also. So you can decide to read the entire file. So like now I'm reading the entire file. So I can also what append to this particular file. Let me append another line. Let me say hello world 2. Hello world 2. Let me say this. Hello world 3. Let me do for 3 so that we'll see what's happening. 3. Go in. So if we cut this now.
the question
Oh,
says that the question has given us the impression that
cut my file.
is a problem. That means it's not compatible.
Sorry, it's supposed to have.
So that's what I'm doing.
So let's do this. This single overrides it, so we need to add this so that we'll append to it.
Let me see if you have read the whole thing.
I want to override the first one. Let me override it. Then do this one. Then append. So this double appends to it. So let me see. 2. Enter. Let me try this.
Opposing the normal
3. Enter. So just be patient with me. I want you to understand something so that once we start solving this, you will see, because these are the things that you're supposed to be playing with to understand how these things are working. So once the problem is given, you'll be able to apply that knowledge. So now let me clear this. Let's cut the file again, a txt file. So you can see I'm having 3 lines. So I can actually decide to read line by line. there is a function for that. I can decide to read the entire file. So, like the one that we've written, our script file that we've written is reading the entire what file. So you can see it's printing out everything at a go. So there are some situations that you just want to read what a particular line, and after reading that particular line, you just want to read the first six character or the last five characters, whatsoever you want to do. There are functions, and we'll see how we're going to manipulate those functions. So now, let's say we just want to read the first line by line. We want to read a line, just a line. See what will happen. There's a function for that. Let's go to our file. See file.py. So here, instead of just reading, we say read, right? Uh, Instead of just read line, uh, instead of just read, we say read line. So what read line does is it reads one line at a time. So if we just say read line, it's going to read the first line, and we call it again to read the second line and so forth. So let me see. We're going to do another one that will look, but let's see what this will give us. So
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Please, your fonts are very small. Help us increase them.
all right.
Oh,
So
okay, thank you.
better now.
Yes, it is.
All right. So all right. So you can see this particular line is just going to read what just first line is going to read line by line in your document. So that's what this read line is all about. It reads line by line. You read the first line, you call it again. You read the second line, you call it again. You read the third line. So there is something that they say positioning your file when you are reading. So that file object, it positions itself. So after reading the first line, it positions itself in a particular position. I will show you what that means also. So there's something again that I wanted to show you before we touch this read line. You can say read and you give particular number of character that you want to read. So since we are using SK character, we know that each character contains only what 1 byte. So we can go ahead and do what and say that okay, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 5 characters. So we can just say we want to read the first 5 characters. So if we do this, it's going to read what hello to us. Let's see how that happens. Then we'll come back and look at the read line. Oh, let me just do the read line. Let's see that. Okay. No, that will fly. So I've saved it. If I do that file, see what will happen. It reads only hello because I say read first byte. So that read also carries what parameter. We can pass a parameter that okay, we just want to read what the first 5 characters. So these are the first 5 characters, and you can see this is the complete line. Boy, he went ahead. This is the complete file. See what he's doing. He's reading actually the complete file, but he's picking only what these characters. So he's not just basing on line. So there's scenario that we will read a particular line, but in that particular line we just want what first character. There's a situation like that also. So you can say this. So let's do the read line and see because let's see read file. So let me take this out and say read line. So I just want to read one line. Just one line I just want to read. So let's see. Let's take this X. Let me play this and cut off now. I will see the content that is inside us. Sorry. It's not what I want us to cut. Let's see, cut my file. Okay. All right. So now let's call our function again. Our file, sorry. Let's execute it again. So you can see it just read only one line. Then we have the next. This next line is appending to it. You will see it because it's standard output, so it converts it to next line. So we'll remove it now. We'll see how we're going to take the next line out. So you can see it reads only one line, then it stops. Then let's go to the file and do something again. Let's see file. Let me show you something. So if we are here, you can do this. You say print f, you can do comma. Now say end. So say end. Say dot file. So you can see that end, once you add that end, I know you've done this since introduction to print in Python. So you can see you can still be using those things that you've learned for long. You can still be applying them in your new tasks. So like now, if I want to take that next line, I told you that you print it with that /n. That's carriage return. So to take it off, that's how we take it off. There are other ways that you can do to take it off, but that's my preferred way of taking it off if I want to print out. So you can see we just have that line. So if I go ahead and do something like this, let me see if I want to print the entire line. Of file. So this is the first line. So if I do, let's see, P, P. So we have 3 lines. Let me do 4. I know we have 3 lines, but let's see what will happen. Just wants to show you something. So let me remove this carriage return for this one so that you see exactly. Let this first. So let me say my file. Okay. So this card I haven't executed, but see what will happen. We did 4, right? So, and we have only 3 lines. We know that we have 3 lines, but we did 4. We wanted to print up to 4 lines. So if I do this, call the file. See what happened. It prints what? The first one, you print the second one, because if you check our, if I do this cat file, see what we're doing. We printed the first one with this first line. So you print this, you read the second line, then we print it out using print. This is it. If we print out this, we read with this. So you can see this last one, he did what? He did the reading, then there is nothing there. It's an empty line, but it always return. When you read an empty line, it always return that carriage return. That's /n. That's what it will always return, that particular. So that's why I removed this, so that you see that that's the return type. So you have it at the back of your mind, because sometimes if you're writing those programs, you forget these minor things and their characters. So your checker will not pass because these things are there. You think that, okay, it's not there. But because you didn't read, you didn't understand these things, you didn't play around with it to understand what's actually happening. Because of this single file, your checker will not pass. So that's why I'm bringing it up, so that you'll see that, okay, there's something that is returning there. So you put it at the back of your mind that once you read a particular line or you read an entire document at once using read, it will what add /n for you. So you have to know how to what remove it if they don't want it in the file. If they say okay, leave it in the tax, they are requesting you to leave it, then go ahead and leave it. But if they didn't say that, if they specify that okay, we don't want next line, then remove it because if not, your checker will not pass. So you can see how our file is. So we did the encoding. So there are other encodings that you can do. So, but our own will stick to Unicode. We don't want to overdo for now. So, and we've seen that character, that particular behavior that once you try to open a file that does not exist, it throws you an error. File not found error, right? Resource not found error. So it throws that for you, to you. So because we are doing reading, so that's why I did that. So there's another one called read lines. So what read lines does is it reads the lines at once, but it returns what? An array for you. So it doesn't read a line at a time. So it just reads everything and returns it as what? As an array. So let's see it. Let's go into this. So also you can see how I'm playing around with it. Why I'm doing this because what you say that once you do the reading you can't apply it. So this is how I do my own and I find it easy to be able to tackle those problems myself without even seeking help from people a lot. I do seek help but I will understand it very well. So once they are giving me the solution, they are telling me that okay, this is what you miss. With that, I already know what I'm getting wrong. So let's use read lines. So and again, you can see that you read this, you read the first line, you read the second line, you read the third line, and once we did read again, and it throws only empty line. So to tell you that there is a pointer whenever we call this read line, there is a pointer that it points that okay, now you've read the first line. Okay, my pointer will come back to what? To the second line. You read the second line, my pointer will come what? To the third line. You read again, my pointer will point to the fourth line. So, but this since there is no fourth line, it will just point you towards the carriage return. So that's the pointer that they are talking about in that in our general, that's what we are expected to learn how to what move the cursor in the file. So that's the cursor movement that they are talking about. Because when we did this first one, it moves the cursor to the second line. So when we call this second line, it moves the cursor. After reading this, it moves the cursor to the what? To the third line. So that's what was happening. That's the movement of the cursor. So you need to understand how the cursor moves. So and there's another situation where, like, let's look at this. Let me show you something. If you do this, let's say, let me clear this. Okay, delete, yes. So we already have our file. So let me say I want to just let me just use the read so that to just explain the cursor movement to you. Let's say we just want to read the hello world, right? Okay, let me make it 4 so that it won't even complete. Let me just read 3 characters. Then here, I'll read the entire file. I'm not reading just 3 characters, so I will read the entire file. I want a space here, so I want that space. So let me remove this guy so that it will give me space in between. But at the end, I don't want space. So you can see this one will read what is the entire file that it will attempt to read, but it will only read what the first 3 characters. That's the first 3 bytes. That's what it's going to read. Then this one now, we say what? Reads everything. So we say you should what read the remaining file. So just see what will happen. If we try this, let me clear this kind of message. So let me see. Let's call the file. So this. See what happened. The first one it reads was 3 characters, which is 1, 2, 3, right? Then see the second function that we call. Let me cut it. Let me print our file out here. See, the first one reads was just the 3 characters. So it reads these first 3 characters. Then we say reads the entire file again. We want to read the entire file. Or we say we want to read the entire file, and he went ahead to start reading from what? From the 4th character. So to tell you, whenever you open a file and you read a certain character from it, the cursor moves to that particular word spot and stay there waiting for next reading that you're going to read. If you read another 2 characters, it's going to read these 2 and move and stays here and wait for you to do another reading. Then it will read again. That's how it keeps reading. If you say, okay, read 3, 3, 3, 3, to keep moving like that in the file. So the cursor will keep moving. So there is a way you can offset the cursor. You can set it yourself. You can determine where you want the cursor to be at a particular time. We'll look at those functions also. So that's all about read. Then we say we wanted to look at read lines. So let's look at that one also. Once we do this thing, those 3 things, then we can go ahead and start solving that problem. So by then we already have concrete understanding. So we'll be throwing, somebody will come up and try to explain that, okay, this is the function that we're going to use to solve this one and this, so that the class will be interactive. But now what I want you to understand is how exactly the open file. So once you have this understanding, whenever you see the open file, there is projects that you're going to apply this knowledge at the front once you keep going with in the program. So, and this is very, very important. When I started off, I didn't understand why we are learning how to just read files, because once we did the project, we just abandoned it. So, but when I saw what we are applying it, we are using it for, I was so wow. So that's where I learned that, okay, Python is awesome. So, and you will see how you convert a particular object. You write a function that is entire class that is functioning, and you convert that class, you save this particular instance in a file, then you pull it back again, convert it back. So that's basically deserialization and serialization. So, okay, with that said, let's look at the read lines. What we'll get from the read lines. So I don't know what is going to happen, but let's see what the read line will give us. So we are playing around with it. So let's see what the read line will give us. Read lines. Let's remove this. I don't want him here. Let me see. Let me remove this also. So read lines. We use read lines. So now let's try and use read lines and see what we get. Okay. Profile. So you can see what is happening. And you can see this array where it's doing each line that you read here. Very good. So you can see that it's appending what character return, that's the /n. It's appending it to each of these lines that he reads. So this is also a tool that there are some scenarios that you just want to pull these things into an array, and later on I iterate over them. Where form of array is it. So like if you want to iterate over, we say for line in my files dot lines. So this also good for us to be able to do that if you want to iterate over it instead of line writing too many lines. So that's it for reading. So we are done with reading. So let's look at what will happen uh, in reading mode. Let's see this. Let me try something. Now we'll see what will happen. And this is exactly what will happen. Let's try to. Um, Let me delete this line. Okay. Let's be more specific. I know it's going to be the mode. We can actually see the mode. We can print out the mode. We'll do that. Um, let's say mode. I want it on. I don't really need to specify it, but I just want to make sure that it's there. So I trust it, but I want to verify. I want to be sure myself. So this file now that we open, this object that we have here is on only read mode. So we can only read from the file. Let's try how true this is. Let's try to write to the file. We use a write function. Let's say my file. My file dot what write. Let me say I am awesome. Oh, we're trying to write it, but mind you, we are on what? On a read mode. So let's see the error that is going to throw at us. I know definitely it's going to throw an error, but let's see the magic. Let's say file. So you can see it's saying what trace most recent call file.p line 4 in this your file.write. I am what awesome IO unsupported what operation not writable. So this is what I want you to see. So sometimes just play with it, even though if they say you can't do that, just do it and see what the error message will show you. So because sometimes in interviews they ask these things. So just see them, not because they say that okay you can't do it, then just leave it. Try it and see the outcome. It's another way of you learning, and it helps you to what learn how to read these errors a lot. So that once you get used to going through these things, you won't be scared of errors. Because some people, once they see error, they don't know what to do next, and they don't know how to read these errors. So it's also a challenge. So I think you should learn how to be happy when you see errors. Like me, I'm happy when I see errors because it's an opportunity to learn other things. That okay, these are part of the program that I don't know understand. Okay, by seeing this error now, I'm going to what learn it. So you can see that unsupported operation not writable. So let's change something. Let's say the file. Okay. So now let's change this and see we want W is for writing. So if you say W and you add plus sign, this will give you read and also write. So if you do like right now and add plus sign, it will give you read and also write function. So but now we just want to do writing. So and if you use W, what W does, it goes ahead to override your file entirely. The file that you are reading, that you are writing to, it will overwrite everything. If you want to write to a file and append to the file at the end of it, not to overwrite, to add to the file, you use what? A. So this mode helps you to what? To append to the end of the file. So your line is going to what? Add to it. So let's see what will happen if we do this. If we do right. So let's just see what will happen. So escape. So okay, let's say the other time we're getting error, right? So let's see what our error is. We're able to resolve our error. Let's see, file this. So you can see, like, it didn't return anything. Our file actually executes. Let's check the content of our file, which is my file. You can see I'm awesome, and it didn't add next line to it. So if you want to add the next line, you have to put it yourself. So writing doesn't add that carriage return. So you should know this. Okay. So yeah, if you are writing to it, if you do the /n, there is also mode that you need to put it so that it will take those next line command. Now we'll look at it. I forgot it, but let's see, we'll search for it also together. So you can see it's overwriting this thing. It's overriding the file. So let us append to this file here and go ahead and see if it will still append to it. Let's do echo. I won't write from there. Okay, let's write from inside the file and see what will happen. So instead of using this particular mode, let's use a mode, which I told you is also what? Writing mode. And if we try in this mode now, if you try to read it, it will throw an error for you because you are only permitted to write to it. You can't read the file. So there are some situations you want to just lock your file. You don't want anybody to have access to it. You can only write to it, but you can't read the content. So you can also specify that mode. So now we want to append to it. Awesome, we've done that. Let's also do this and see what we'll get at the end of it. Like trying this. Pardon me. So let's do this and see forward file. Do this. So actually execute. Let's see the content of our file. See my file, but this. So you can see it did what? The /, you can see that it appends to the end of the file. And our first this one, we didn't put out carriage return. So it did write it on what? On this first line, then it started from where it stopped, it add this one, then our line return, it add it. So that's why you can see this is moving here. And if we try to read it, this is going to be only one line. So it's going to be as one line. So you can see that's for the append. If we run it again, let's run it again. Let's run that particular command again. We've run it, right? Let's cut the file and see. So you can see, because the second one is you're having return, is doing it here and it's returning it. So this is it. So, and you can write to file, you can use your Python. Since it's in Python, you can use loop to do some kind of manipulation or write some things. So, and also in the documentation I saw, they are talking about writing test cases. So when you're writing, you've read your test cases. I think you have gone through it. Let me just believe that, okay, you understand how to test your software or your module or just a particular function. You know how to test it. There are test cases. So like in reading now, we already know that
I even remember.
once file doesn't exist and we try to what to read that file, it will throw an error for us. So that's the case that you need to handle. You need to what put that in perspective. You need to what check your program is actually working, because it can write the code. You can see that we did the other time. We write everything is okay, but once we execute it, it throw an error. So you should put that back of mind. Is another test case that you need to check. So, but if time permits, we'll look at testing also today with you guys, just for the sake of this, just to put you through how you can test this particular task that you are writing. It's good that you start learning how to do those things now, because once you go forward, you keep doing those testing. There are some tasks that will say that you have to write the complete test, and the testing itself, writing it will take the entire day. So people will start complaining, the testing is just waste of time, there's no use for it. So, but once you are used to following it now, even though they are not making it compulsory, make it to yourself that, okay, I want to learn how to test my functions. So as you go forward, you need those things. It's going to be what easy for you. So it actually helped me. So that's why I'm encouraging you to what to be testing it,
And the last one,
testing your functions. So we haven't written any function yet. So but we'll look at how to what to test it
yes,
also.
because the flexi, 4500.
So with that said,
4500.
let's look at in the case that we don't have a file. Let me remove this particular my file .txt.
And that means
Let
you
me
start
remove it.
Flentina.
Let me
And
see.
then Flentina,
So
Federation leader.
make sure we're on the same page to clear everybody down that I'm not doing anything wrong. Let's see the entire files like inside this document. Okay, let me use the A1. Let me use one. I don't want the long.
Simple sign on now.
Oh, do we need the long? Okay, let me do the long. So you can see the files are here. So we only have our directory, the current directory that we are in, and the previous directory. So that's the parent directory. Then we have only this file.
The simple sign
So you
on.
can see there is no file, other file here that we have. So let's try to execute our program. You know, when we did reading, we tried to read and we didn't create that file, and it threw an error, file does not exist. Let's see if write would do the same thing to us. Let's see, file executed.
This is me, no.
We didn't get an error.
Anybody will come in, you answer the first 5 questions.
Let's see. It went ahead to create the file for us. So that's what they are saying, that even though the file does not exist, it goes ahead to what? To create the file. If the file is there, fine and good, it picks it up and what? Do that for you. So there are functions that you can use to what? Check if file exists or it doesn't exist. So like in that reading, you can handle your error. If it doesn't exist, okay, go ahead and what? Create it. Then we run the program for the person. Whichever way you want to handle it. Depends on what the tasks that you're trying to what? Handle at that time. So this is what I want to show you. So once you run it and you try to do this, it will fly. It will go through and go ahead and what? Create the file for you and what? Do the writing inside. So let's see the content of it. If it actually created and write to it. So actually did this. So you can see if you try again, I try to run it again. Run it again, then try this. You can see, keeps doing it. So this is it for the read and the write. I think, is there any other thing that I need to mention to you? The writing, let's check the document. I hope you guys have opened it on your system, the general listing. Let me share it here. Let's look at it together. Let's see what we have covered so far. So we've covered this. So you can see from now, basically what we've done with you guys, if you're following and you really follow through what we are doing, you will notice that you've covered this part. You know how to open a file now. So even though in a task, if they just ask you that, okay, create a file, just open up, read from a file, you already know, and you know those modes that you can what read that file. So I think the only mode that we didn't touch is the binary mode. So we're going to touch that later, but I'm just saving it for now. So we know that okay, in our file, opening our file, we have two compulsory, just one compulsory what parameter that we need to pass, which is what the file itself. Then we have another compulsory one that we can call. It's not compulsory, but to be more specific, is the encoding, character encoding. So we need to be passing that one. Don't ever forget that one. Always pass that so that you are sure that it's going to return what a Unicode for you, not bytecodes. So with that said, we also look at how to write to a text file. So we actually what done this. So we understand this one. So you can see how to read the full content of a file. We also looked at that. We use only what read function to read the entire content of file. So you only need what read function. So once you call read function, it's going to read the entire file for you. And we've looked at that, we've used it, and we've explained how it displays it out for you. Then we looked at how to read a file line by line. So we also looked at that. We use what read line function. Then how to move the cursor in a file. So we haven't done that. We haven't looked at those two functions. There are two functions that you can do. You can check for where the position that I am currently, and also um, the file that you're trying to watch, and the particular location that you are, and you can also move also. So how to move the cursor in a file, then how to make sure a file is closed after using it. So we haven't looked at this, so we'll look at it also. Then what is and how to use the wait statement. So once we use this close file after using it, then it's right for us to look at what the wait. So it makes life easy for us. Then we'll look at this final part. Then I think if we're able to follow it through like this, it's going to be beautiful. So, like I said also, when I was advising you on how to be reading, I said what? Learn how to play with these things. Once they give you, you read these materials they are giving you, play with it. You can see how I'm playing with it. So that's how you play with it. Once you are playing it with it, is the answers are even coming. You are seeing how you are putting one or two together by yourself. But if you don't take your time to just apply this thing after just reading the materials, you just jump into it, you want to apply it, it becomes difficult for you. So this particular thing that I'm showing you is what is helping me. So I want you also to have that. Try it in the your next task that you have been given. Once it's given, don't rush to start solving it. After reading all those materials, you've seen it, close everything, keep everything aside. Just start try to play with it. Then if you don't remember some functions, go ahead and open your browser, search for it, say, okay, what are the entire functions available for me with open objects, the file object? What are the functions available? Google will display those functions for you. They are there. In real world, you keep going to Google, to materials, to books. So, but there are basic ones that you should know, like read, write. You should know that okay, those functions are just basics. But those advanced ones that you are faced, you have to still Google it. So there are some tasks that even though I'm doing, I still go back to my material to read it again, then apply it. So basically, that's what they want you to know how to do. So because even in the real world, you'll be doing those things. So and as you are using them constantly, they tend to stick to your brain. So once you want them, you just see. We have seen how to move the cursor inside a file. We've looked at how to read the file line by line, then make sure a file is closed. So we look at the closing of file, then this. So we'll look at those two functions. So let's see. This my browser. Let me open another tab on my browser. Let me see Google. Let me bring you to that particular word.
It's too long.
Sorry, we are taking long, right? Hello.
No.
Are you guys enjoying the class?
Yes. Slow and steady.
If you guys are not enjoying it, we'll change direction. We'll start solving problem because I think the problem is not the real issue. You guys should follow this pattern that I'm following. It helped me. So try it in the next project, even though you're not trying it in this one. Try it in the next project. You'll see it will work for you. That I guarantee if you actually did what we are doing here. You'll see that you have in-depth understanding of the concept. So I want to share something. Let's see all the functions that you have with let me see file objects, Python file objects methods. Python file objects methods. So you can see I'm doing my Google search. Do this and see file methods. W3 school, you can see them so many they will give you. So let's just look at this first one. If you are not satisfied with what we are getting, so you can see we have close, we have final, and you can see the explanation they are trying to explain this. Close the file. So detach, return the separated row stream from the buffer. So you can see, so is not a return whatever the file stream is, interactive or not. Return if it's in interactive. So you can see the read line, return one line from the file. Readable returns whether the file stream can be read or not. So you can use this function to check if the file is readable. If it's not readable, then you don't even try to read it so that you don't encounter error. So these are kind of things that you make use of when you're trying to make your code not to crash when it's running. So you can say read file, just read a particular line, then read lines, then return the list of what lines from the file. So you can see that we tried it and we see what it returns. Then seek, change the file position. So this is the cursor. What this does is this seek change the file position. So the position that they are talking about what the cursor. So it's this one. If we open it, we'll see more. Then seekable. So this seekable, it returns whether the file is allowed to change the file position. So if it's not, then tells return the current file position. So this particular two we're going to look at them. This is the two that I want us to look at. So we can read about them also. So like me, I like going ahead to read about that particular function, and you can see how they are using it here also. So this is another material. You can just check other resources. Like now, we have seen there is tell, there is seek. So we look at it. I can also check tutorial point. It's also a material that I like reading. Also, tutorial point. So you can see file close the file. So you can see file flush the internal buffer, like standard input and output, flush. This may be a no operation on some files like objects. So you just read the ones that are necessary, like file next, return the next line from the file each time it is being called. So you can see it's not returning the current line, it's returning the next line. If you don't want the the current line that you are, so you can return the next line. So this is a function that you can make use of it to do that. So you can see you have resource out there that will help you. It's just Google away. So don't get tired of Googling. Don't restrict yourself to just the materials that are sharing. So there are awesome materials out there that can explain these things to you. So you can see like seek, offset, then hence. So where is the offset is going to start? If you want to start the offset from the back, you want to move from 2 characters backwards, 3 characters offset. So you can also use this. So tell returns the file current position. So let's go ahead and look at how to do that. Then also see how close file helps us. So let me close this. I hope I'm not talking fast.
Not at all, sir.
No.
All right. Okay. If I'm talking fast, please draw my attention to it. So, okay. This is what I want to share. So, we're back again to our playground. I love this. I love playground. This is my fun part. This is where I spend my time, most of my time, just playing with it. And also, I install it on my phone. I have a particular app that helps me to run such things on my phone. So sometimes you just see me on phone playing with it. So it helps a lot. It helps. It helps. So now, what we're trying to look at is how to move the cursor and also check. So let's see this file. Okay. So when we open a file, we want to see our current position, where we are in the file. So let me delete this. Right. Let me delete it. Then let me go.
Last question. Last question. The ask option repeat the question.
So let me print this out. Let's see my file dot tell. You know, we saw the function tell. They say it will return the where our cursor is in the file, and that's what we are trying to learn how to do. So after we do this, we'll check how to close the file. We'll see what will happen once you close your file. So if we do this, save it. Did I actually save it? Do this, we try to run it dot file. Let's do this. So telling us that we are what at position 26. So we can, that means we did some reading with the file, or our file is not in SK. Let's try and read this. So this is our current position where we are in the file. This is where our cursor is. It's on 26. So let's see something. Let's see file. So if this our current position, what if we want to change our position to the beginning of what? File. So there is seek. So if we say my file, dot seek. So this will offset it. So the offset, what the offset does is it takes 2 parameters. The first parameter is if you don't apply the second parameter, it moves only forward. So, and the second parameter has 3 possible values. It has 1, 0, 1, and 2. So if you do, let's say, want to offset it to 0, if we offset this guy to 0, let's run it first and see what it will give us. Let's run it again and see file. And see it's returning what 0. So it returns our offset. It's no longer at this particular word character, 26 character, because we did some readings then. You know, right? We did some readings, so that's why our offset was like that. So but we return it to 0 now. So even now, if we try something like, let's go back to the file and see. We'll remove this particular line, remove the offset. Let's do this and see what will happen. Bear with me. I drive from learning this, trying these things. I'm not already. So let's try it again and see what we'll get. So we're getting 26. So that means our character, the ASCII character, the way you read it, the offset pointer. So we're going to check why we're getting 26. So there's some why the reason why we're getting 26, and I want you to see that. Let's clear this. So our offset, we already see how to seek. So what I want to show you is the two parameters of seek, that particular function. So file. So let's move here. So let me save my file. But seek. So I can decide that, okay, I want to move 4 cursor forward or 5 cursor forward. So if I do comma, so the second one is whence, that's what they call it. That's where do you want it to move? You want it to move forward 5 characters, or you want it to move backward 5 characters, to start from the end of the file 5 characters backwards, or do you want it to start at the beginning of the file 5 characters forward? So the default is already 0. So once you put 1, so you want it to start at the current position that the file is and move 5 characters forward. If you use 2 here, you are saying, okay, go to the end of the file and move 5 characters backwards. You understand? That's what this does. Then you can decide to put the 0 there. So these are the 3 possible values. It takes 0, 1, and 2. So if you put 0 there, it does the default. That means it starts from the beginning of the file and moves 5 characters forward. So whichever position that he is, it goes to the beginning of the file. Then start reading file. So even though your current cursor is at position 30, it goes back to the beginning and start reading, and move the cursor 5 and count 5 and move it there. So we will apply this now. Just play around with it a little and see what we get. So let's say we want to move our tail is already telling us, okay, this is the position. So I'm satisfied with that. So let's do forward movement first. We want to start moving from the beginning of the file, which is 0, 5 characters forward. Then after moving that forward, we want to read the entire file. So that means we are excluding the first 5 characters from our file. Oh, we can read a particular line, but let's just do it this way. Just want to let's just read my file. dot.
Look at you.
Let's read everything.
No, seriously, huh?
Whichever way, let's just read everything. You can read 3 characters more, but let's just read everything.
Our seniors are
So just look at what will happen. Let's cut our my file first. Let's see the content. This is the content that is inside. Let's cut our program also, program file. So this is what we have written. These are codes. So let's execute the codes and see what we get. Let's execute it. So see what we're getting. So first of all, we've write this. We say what you should read what 5. You should move the cursor 5 characters starting from what 0 forward. Then we call on what print. We call to print. Okay, what's our current position? It tells us that we are what at the 5th position, which is what true. Now we are what at the 5th position, but we're getting an error. It's saying what unsupported operation not readable. So you can see that our file is not readable. So that means there is an error. I leave it deliberately. If you can check our reading that we're doing, you can see our file is what in just write mode. So we cannot read. So that's where our error is coming from. So let's go and fix it. So I just leave it so that it will draw our attention, so that you know that okay. Sometimes you'll be wondering what's wrong. So once you see unsupported operation, just know that it's mode operation that is calling your attention to. So you can see, and it's talking about input and output. So not readable. And you can see clearly saying not readable. So you should know that this particular problem is basically what mode problem. So let's go and fix it. So right on. So let's go here and see. We want to be appending, we don't want to be overriding, so you can just add a plus sign. So let me add. I say plus sign now. It's going to allow me to append and also what read from it. So let me see escape. So I just want us to make use of it. So let's cut again our my file, then cut file, our program, and let's run it. So you can see now, let's see the font, what we are doing. So you can see the first line we have, we say what we're changing our cursor position to what 5th. We are starting from the beginning of the file to 5th position. So and we can see this is our file. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So here now you can see our position. We're trying to print out, okay, tell us where we are. So that's the tell. Okay, we are in the 5th position with our cursor. So we say, okay, print the entire file from what? From the 5th position. So you can see it starts from awesome down here. You can see it started from here. If you try to count, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is where our cursor is. So it started reading, reads this particular place to this end. So that's why it prints this guy out for us. So, and if we say read a line, it will just read this particular part now and print it out. So you can also try that on your own also. So that we're taking time already. Let's not spend more time. let's move so that we'll do some tasks together. So that's it for moving the cursors around. So let's check out what closing file is all about. Let's say, let me clear this. Uh, let's say let's open the file. Let's say now, we've opened this file now, and also you can read some properties on this object, like the name of the file. You can use name to read it. Then you can check for mode. If you do file.mode, it will give you the mode. If you do file.name, it will give you the name. Well, let's just do just small that. I will close it also so that we'll see. Oh, what's undo? Do anyone remember the undo, the command for undo? I forgot. Can someone remind me the undo? You, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this, I just want to delete one. I went ahead and delete the entire. So okay, now we have my file .tel. We don't want that. Let me see. We want to focus on close. So let's close this file. So let's say my file. I open it quite alright. Should I read something from it before closing? Let me read something from it before closing. Let me just read something from it. Let's see. Print. Let's see my file. Let me just read the line. Read line. Let's see. And I don't want next line. So after reading the line, so that to know that okay, yes, you can read. Should I do writing also? No need to write it. Write was also work. So let's close it. Let's say my file. So they are asking us to also learn how to close a file. So once you just close, call it close. That's done. That's all. You close your file. So here now, we don't need this tail. I want to show you that there are some properties you can access using this object. Let's say name. You can see the name. You can also access what we call mode. The mode you are in. You can also access the encoding. So they are there. So you can also browse and see them. They are there for you if your task actually requires that. So I think it's encoding. If I'm not mistaken, we'll see. If it is an error, we'll get it. So let's try and do something. I want these guys to display for us. So let's try, after closing our file, let's try to read from it and see what will happen. Let's see, print my file. My file. Dot read. Let us use read. Read the file. So let's see what we get. So we are getting close to the end of this. Okay. Um,
The mobile file to push alert grab the mobile application.
let's see the current content of our file.
SOS.
Okay. So let's run it and see. So the first thing that we did was to read to open the file, which we opened. Then we try to what?
The mobile application to read
We read the file, right?
anything
Okay.
the web service anything PLV and this is
Awesome.
so
Okay.
store and retrieve
The file name that we printed out, this is it. Let me see. Sorry.
the answer is from the
It's
focus line.
acting weird. I don't know. Let's see first what's happening. No, good.
No, I didn't say first option, first line.
So the first thing that we did was open the file, then we print my file dot read line. So we try to read just a line. So and we did this. So don't forget we run our program the other time. We didn't change the cursor, we didn't bring it back to the beginning. So it was pointing to the end of it. If you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So it's pointing at the end of the file. So that's why it's not printing this particular line for us. So we'll fix that. But I want you to see the error also. So this particular line now, we've closed the file here. Then we try to print out what file name. It's a property that it has. So you can also access the property. So you can see the property is giving us the file name, my file. So we're asking for the mode that we are in. So we can see it give us this particular one, the mode that actually our program has. We also ask for the encoding. So this is it. It gave us the encoding. Then now we try to what? To read from the object and look at what he's presenting us with. He's telling us that traceback most recent colors, we are having an error. So he's saying value error, input and output operation on close file. So we cannot read it. So we're trying to make some operation on a particular file that has already been closed. So this is what they are saying, that whenever you open a file, you should always was close it. So sometimes you may be writing and you forget to close your file. Some other person can have access to that file and they make damage to you. And closing a file is very, very important. So if your system is running. So sometimes you may forget to do that. So that's where that with operation statement comes in. We'll look at it, how it's going to help us. So it's going to do the closing automatically. We don't need to call this particular function to do the closing. So in our case, we can see that it's doing this. So let's make some correction to our file and so that we'll try and read the first line. Let's see, file. From here, let's make use of our offset file, right? So our offset function that we learned about, it was seek. Let's seek it from here. So we go to this end. So because our position is at 26, so that's why it's not reading that. So let's see my file. File.seek. So I want this guy to be at position 0. Yeah, position 0. Let me clear this guy and run it again. File. Okay. get our error. But you can see now, I offset it. I brought it back to what our pointer. So that's why you see that first time we couldn't read it because it was empty. So it was just a next line to give us because it was pointing at the end of the line. So and what I notice again, any file that you open, if you try to read it once you read that file, it takes the cursor to the end of the file. That's where the cursor will remain there. So that's why we're having what 26 pointing us to 26 the other time. So if you do this offset, it brings it what to the beginning of the file. So that's why we're having this at the beginning. So you can see our read line now. We're able to what, read the first line, print this and this, then this closing. The operation is telling us that we cannot what read a closed file. So if we still want to read that file, we still have to what open it again, so that we'll be able to read it. So that's for the close. So and this is it. I just want to. There are other properties you can go ahead and check for yourself. The other properties. So let's clear this. Let's move forward. Blend this. So we've seen seek and we've seen tail. So your application of the program, very short, guys, where they will call for these things. So what are we looking at? The width. So like the width, automatically it closes the file after you've used it. So no need for you to what, go ahead closing your file. Like now, if I want to open this file, instead of open it this way and saving the file with my file, I will just say, okay, what I will just do, I will say width, open, and I'll come to the end of it here. I will say what? As I give it F my file, I can still give it that same name, my file. Or I can say F. If I'm going to use some iteration, I'd like to leave it as what? As F. Then I can go down and say what? Print line. And again, I wanted to bring your attention to something. Why we are getting that at 26, because we made a reading to the file and we didn't close that file. So that's why when we come back to it, it's still showing us what 26 when we try to check our cursor. Our cursor will still remain there because we did not what close that file. I didn't mean we close that file and open it again. It will start at what position 0. So that's why we are throwing that what offset that other time, because we didn't close the file then when we use it. So now that we've closed the file, if we try to use it again, it will what take us back towards 0. So whenever you didn't close your file and you try to go back and read it and you're expecting to start reading from the beginning, it won't happen that way. So that's why it's good when you finish with your file, close it, so that when you are reading it, you read from the beginning. If not, you have to handle what that edge case again in your program. You have to be doing those testing. So those are the kind of things that also you want to what test. It's an edge case in your test case. If you want to handle testing also, it's something that you look at. So let's say we just want to what. So it will present us. So this is how powerful this width is. So it will just present us with what? With the file here as this. Okay? So we say f dot what? Read line. So we just want to read the line. Let's see. Read line. I don't want to be greedy. Just want to read a particular line. So we'll just see what the magic here. This particular statement is powerful. It will save you a lot of what stress. So let's see this. If you do this, see our file is what empty. So let's cut it and see if we have something in the file. See, you will see something that is happening. Let's see on my file. I like this. I think we are having content inside, but he's telling us that is what is empty. Let's run it again. Let's see this file. Empty. So what's happening? Our cursor is actually leaving itself at the end of our file. So that's what we are getting. So if we do vi, let's see file. So here, to be able to what, to close the file. Let's see. Let's just call this function. Let me do this. It does not return anything. With this read, I don't have to call it close file, but just wants to do something first. I've faced this before, so I want to see exactly what's happening. So let's look at it together. Okay? I didn't expect this behavior, so I'm trying to understand why we're getting that behavior. So you can see how if I face something like that, I'll check it. This is how I'm going to check. So if I do the closing, let me close it first. So let me call down file. We just close it. We call it again. Let me go back to this file. F. It's print F. Great. Let me close it. So escape. And let's do dot F. Let's see what we get. Oh, we're still getting that. So let me try something. Does anyone knows why we're getting this? Hello? Anyone with idea why we're getting this?
I'm thinking we should iterate through the file object.
The file object. You think that's why we're getting the empty?
When we said f dot where you have where we have that place you're printing file or read line.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was thinking we should do the read line first before we now print.
We do the read line on its
Or something
own,
like
then we print.
or
Okay, let's do that.
for line in a F for line in F.
And that means you want us to look through. I want to avoid that looking through.
Okay.
But no problem. Let's do the let's look through. Or let's try and read it first and print it out. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say since that's the case, let's see. Let's call this first line. This is what we are printing out. So let's see, first line is because so f dot read so
And
let's see.
second, our mode is on append.
We should what?
Our mode is on append. We're supposed to be using
Yes, it's on append and also read and write now. We can also
okay,
read.
okay.
So
Okay.
maybe we can remove it. Maybe that's the append is the one is causing us to go to the end of the file. Let's try this first. Then if it didn't work, that means it's the mode that is the issue. So once you are at append, you know that always the cursor will go to the end of the file. Right? Let's try this first, then we try the other one. Let's do this. So I just like trying them, so that we'll know, we'll have a deep understanding. So it's still giving us that. So just like you suggest also, let's look at the mode. So let's remove this guy and put read, right?
Yes.
If it's going to read, then also I want us to give it right also. Okay? Let's give it right also. So X, oh, that and do that. Fine. So it's actually the append that we're using that is causing it for us. So the append shifts it to the end. So we understand one more thing together. Okay? So that's how you learn it. I think when we are not playing with it, we won't know this. And if you read through the material, nobody will ever tell you this. So sometimes there are some things that even though you read books, you will never see it in books. Is when you try it, you're trying to do some things, you definitely start seeing them. So you can see that what the append does is it always shifts the cursor to the end. So that's a nice one. So now going back to our general study. So what we need to be looking at is JSON now. So JSON file. So we have already looked at how to make sure a file is closed after using it, what is and how to use the with statement. So we've already said that this with statement, what it does is an automatic closing it does for you. So let's clear this. Open this file again. So this with what it does the closing. So it opens this file. So immediately you finish using this file, you don't have to worry about what closing it. It goes ahead to what help you to what close your file. So that's how powerful it is. So what he was asking us then to do is to do some iteration. So you can actually do your iteration. So I wasn't too concerned about the iteration because we can actually do something like this. Let's do the iteration together so that you see. I didn't want to waste our time, so that's why I wasn't doing the iteration. But let's go ahead and do it. Let's say for a line in F. Okay. Print this guy for me. Print F line. So it will print it line by line. Then I'll come down here and do it this way. So what this guy does is to print the entire lines in the file. So it will read, it will get the first line. So the file object is iteratable. So I got it. Okay, sorry. Let's do this. Put this here, we'll just do this like this. So we'll say for each line in F, let's see what we'll get. So it's reading what? Each line, giving it back to us. And you can see how it does the reading. Read the first one, read the second one. Returns it. So you can also do this. And you can also do this dot, read lines. We say this one will return what list already. So if you say read lines, okay, let's just do read line first and see the outcome. So read line. So you can see it only what it read the first line, then it iterate over it. So because string is iteratable, so once you read the first line, it iterate through the entire first line. So let's try. Yeah. So if we want to read the entire line, so we have to use this function, read what? Read lines. So this one will return an array. Each of the lines inside an array, so it's going to what? Iterate over all of them. And if we don't want it to print extra lines, next line, because printf already it adds line to it. So we know what to do, add this and for our file. Say this, and do this. Okay. Then once we call the file again, call the scripts again. So you can see we are reading all the lines. So we can do some things with it. You know, string is iteratable, list is iteratable, tuple is also iteratable. So you know this also. So let's look at JSON. So what's JSON itself? JSON is JavaScript object notation. So it's a way of writing documents. So, but it's JavaScript basically is kind of way it writes its object. So once you are introduced to Java, its object is also more similar like the Python object, also that you're familiar with. Let's go to our file. Let's say vi.file. So let me write here. Let me delete these guys. Let's see, delete this one. I don't need this. I don't need this. So we're talking about JSON now. So can do my import here. So JSON objects, I have to import it. It's not globally available for you. So you can say import JSON. So it's going to be available now for us to use. So JSON objects, we already know, like if we want to define an object, we just say, let's say person object. In this form, you can see we will say it's equals to something like this. Then we say name, we give it a name, let's say as string, say David, give it David, then we can say cohort, let's say cohort, it's in cohort 9, or should we give it 8? Let's give it 9. So this is basically this is an object. So this is the notation that they are talking about. So but see, this is for Python. This how its notation is. Just trying to clear this. So this the JavaScript annotation, this is the JSON annotation that they are talking about. So it has it this way. It has the key value pair of a thing. So this is a property. This entire thing starts from here to here is the object they are talking about. So an object has what property. So you can see that it has this particular word property called name, and the value is what David. So it's kind of key value pair kind of thing. Array too has it, but array is only more of indexing. So that's the difference. So object is key value pair, but array is more of indexing. So you can access a particular array by an index. You just call the index like 0 and call it. You will get the value at that particular word index. So but this one is key. So because array, it doesn't use like names like this to index its value, is it only use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But object uses what uses names. So like now that we have this adjacent, this an object, this is an object in Python. So the same thing with JSON, but what JSON has is his own. It comes, even this name, it uses what string for these names.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please, sorry, I just wanted to chip in something.
All right.
Sorry about we appreciate, but some of our colleagues from East Africa, they are almost in 2 o'clock, and it's like it's very late for them.
All right. Sorry. Let's just jump into solving. Let's solve 1 or 2 together.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Or can we just stop the class? We'll meet.
I don't know which. I was trying to speak with David. Maybe if we can reschedule because of them.
Okay.
But I don't know. Yes, sir.
No problem. We can do that.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
So we'll just call it
okay.
a day.
Okay. Sir, we thank you very much. We appreciate
No
you, sir.
problem. All right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
So, all right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Elisha. And thank you, everybody.
All right.
I hope you come back to solve this problem, so really, at some point.
No, if you have me tomorrow, I will be around. So you just reach out to David whenever you guys are ready. I will be available. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
But I hope you guys enjoy the class and how we
Wow,
walk through.
I really did. I really did. I've been out of circulation for a while dealing with family issues. So today is like my first day back, and I missed a lot in this Python. So I really enjoyed today. It's like I just got up to speed in so many things. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. So good night,
I
everyone.
know my day.
Hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you very, very much, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
So for people from East Africa and Central Africa, please, we are very sorry for the time. We hope to reschedule, and I think David will pass an information so that we'll know when next we're coming to finish up Python input and output. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time, your understanding. Good night, everybody.
Thank you too. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.